For some, Saturday mornings means a trip to the local farmers market, but the pandemic changed a lot of things about how it's done. This morning, 41 Action News reporter Jordan Best is live at the Overland Park Farmers Market to see how they're adjusting. Jordan?
Hey, good morning. Yeah, all the vendors here at the Overland Park Farmers Market are spread out from one another. If you've been to the farmers market beforehand, you know it's in the pavilion usually. That's just down a ways from here. But people were so close to each other that the city has now spread them all out here at the Matt Ross Community Center. You can see vendors are still setting up as the market doesn't open until 7:30 this morning. But let's talk about what happened last year. Last April, the OP Farmers Market started out at the Overland Park Convention Center parking lot. Of all places, it was a drive-through style market. So basically what you'd do is you drive up to get in line. When you'd see your vendor that you'd want to buy from, you'd just roll down your window and order. And vendors were able to kind of make their way back here to downtown OP last July. So a lot of changes. Cities around the metro continue to revamp farmers markets like in Shawnee, where they will now have a Thursday night market.
Our farmers market is kind of just directly in competition with our surrounding areas. So Merriam, Overland Park, and they have had some really well-established farmers markets for a long time. We just decided we're really trying to draw in more families, make it a family-friendly event.
Shawnee's Moonlight Market will happen every third Thursday of the month, so that will start on May 20th. But again, here starts at 7:30 this morning here in Overland Park at the Matt Ross Community Center. They've got everything here, from getting your cup of joe to your veggies, your fruits, flowers, even some nachos behind me. So you can get it all here this morning, and it starts at 7:30. Live in Overland Park, Jordan Betts, 41 Action News.
Jordan, thank you very much. Now, looking at Jordan's shot, it was dry. Looked a little raw, but it was dry. The big question after yesterday's rain, well, we need to keep our umbrellas if we're going to the farmer's market or any other place.
You might need to keep the umbrella handy, especially this afternoon, but nothing like yesterday, not nearly as widespread. Let's take a look right now outside at our Board Home Improvement Skyview Network over the K. The game did get rained out last night. They are playing 2 today. They should get both of those in. And the roads are damp. There's a little light haze and fog outside. Not much on weather track radar around here. A few little light showers off to the east. But as we go a little farther to the north, up into southern Iowa and southeast Nebraska, there's a little line of light showers. And this is moving south. And as it does, later on this afternoon, it'll be near us. And that could generate a few showers, maybe a few downpours. Even we'll see some sun as well. But nothing like yesterday, as the main storm came through with widespread light to moderate rain. There are a few downpours, about 1/10 to a 1/2 inch of rain across most of the area. And the last wave went through last night, and it's moving off. There was snow in northern Kansas and Nebraska with this storm. There were thunderstorms down across Texas towards the Gulf Coast. We were in the more tame part of the storm, but there are some changes possible. The one, we may not be in the most tame part on Monday night when we could see some snow. Talk about that coming up. 43 at KCI, 42 Lawrence, 43 downtown. We are on our way up into the 50s, about 55, 56 degrees. Not bad, maybe a brief downpour. We will look ahead to a very strong April cold front that could lead to snow here. We'll have all the new data coming up.
While you slept in Kansas City, Missouri, an assault suspect survived being shot in the head and is now in police custody. Officers found the man after a standoff that lasted more than 6 hours at 30th and Walren. Started around 7:15 last night. A woman says she had been fighting with the man when he assaulted and shot at her. She was not hurt. The man remained inside a home and would not come out. But just after 1 this morning, police received a warrant to enter the home. They say the man had shot himself in the head. We're told right now he's in stable condition. Well, protests were held overnight in response to deadly police shootings in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota. Police arrested about 100 people after some started trying to tear down fencing. Police fired back with irritants like pepper spray and tear gas. There have been 6 straight nights of protests following the deadly shooting of Dante Wright. Now, officials say much of the night was peaceful, with a few exceptions. Former Brooklyn Center police officer Kimberly Potter fatally shot Wright during a traffic stop Sunday. She resigned from the force and is charged with second-degree manslaughter. Wright was 20 years old. Also last night, protests in Chicago after Chicago police released video of an officer shooting and killing 13-year-old Adam Toledo. Body cam video showed the young teen tossing what appeared to be a firearm before showing police his hands. the crowd marched through the mayor's neighborhood. Now, all of this comes as the murder trial of Derek Chauvin in Minneapolis heads into its next chapter. Chauvin is accused of killing George Floyd last May. Closing arguments are set for Monday. Then the case will go to the jury, which will be sequestered. As tensions rise across the country, community leaders are getting proactive here in Kansas City. Faith leaders met with KCPD Chief Rick Smith as well as other officers to discuss what potential protests could look like. They say they hope things remain peaceful.
Whichever way the verdict goes, and I mean this very affirmatively, is watch how your faith leaders protest first.
Next week, the mayor, police chief, and prosecutor plan to meet to continue the conversation. Well, locally, another court case we've been following is the Kyler Yust trial. Two local families must now wait nearly 2 more months for the final sentencing of Yust. Family members of Kara Kopetsky and Jessica Runyons tried to convince the jury to give Yust the maximum sentence. Thursday, he was convicted of killing both young women. Kopetsky was last seen alive in May of 2007. Families spent years searching for her. Almost 10 years later, Kopetsky's family would meet the family of Jessica Runyons. The 21-year-old was last seen with Yust in September 2016. The remains of both Kopetsky and Runyons were found close to one another 7 months later. At the end of the jury recommended a life sentence for the murder conviction in Jessica's case and 15 years for the manslaughter charge related to Kara. Both families reacted to the jury's decision.
We appreciate everybody's support, and the community has been amazing. The love for the girls have just been, it's overwhelming.
We're thankful to be where we are today because there were days where we didn't know if our girls would ever be found. And we're just so thankful that they were found, and we have them back now.
In Missouri, the life sentence is capped at 30 years. Yust will also be eligible for parole after he serves 85% of the sentence. The jury recommended 15 years in Kara's case, although an expert tells us Yust could be eligible for parole after 6 years. The judge will decide if the sentences will run concurrently or consecutively. A formal sentencing hearing is set for June 7th. Well, the day after a deadly mass shooting in Indianapolis, we're learning more about the lives lost and the alleged shooter.
You're watching 41 Action News.
Welcome back, everyone. After almost an entire day of waiting, 8 families officially know their loved one will never come home from work. Authorities have released the identities of the 8 people shot and killed at a FedEx facility in Indianapolis. The shooter has been identified as a 19-year-old former employee. Investigators are still searching for answers into why he opened fire. Wendy Woolfolk is in Indianapolis with what we know so far.
They have an active shooter currently at FedEx.
After that call, Steve Weissert was one of 8 people who didn't come home from the overnight shift.
He didn't come home.
Victims ranging in age from 19 to 74. Gunned down in the parking lot and inside the FedEx processing center.
He started shouting and then he started firing at random directions.
Wearing a hoodie and carrying a rifle, police say 19-year-old Brandon Hull returned to a place he was familiar, wreaking havoc before turning the gun on himself.
FedEx officials have confirmed that Mr. Hull was a former employee at the facility, and he was last employed in 2020.
Federal authorities retrieved boxes of evidence and computer equipment from the gunman's home. The FBI confirms agents questioned the teenager last April after his mother told police she was afraid he would, quote, commit suicide by cop.
Last night was a devastating blow, and its impact will be felt by our community for days and weeks to come.
While investigators search for answers, more families, another community, and the entire nation left to heal. Wendy Woolfolk, NBC News, Indianapolis.
7:15 right now. Let's take a live look in England as the royal family prepares to say goodbye to Prince Philip. Today, Prince Philip will be laid to rest in Windsor, England. He'll be buried at a private funeral at St. George's Chapel. The Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh were married for 73 years. The royal family will be there with very few others. Prince William and Harry will be separated in the procession by their cousin. Now, this is the first time the two have been seen in public together since Harry and his wife Meghan Markle's interview with Oprah. Markle was staying home, and the couple said that doctors did not want her to fly. She's due this summer with their second child, Prince Philip. was 99 years old. Now, we will carry the funeral of Prince Philip live starting at 8:30 this morning right here on your 41 Action News station.
Here's your latest Kansas City forecast from meteorologist Jeff Penner.
Good Saturday morning. Allergy, the tree pollen is getting up there. Oak, ash, and mulberry. My son definitely suffers from oak and ash, and so definitely feeling it. Mold is in the moderate category, grass and weed pollen low for the time being. Outside, a low overcast, but not much coming from the clouds. 43 degrees. Quarter inch of rain, about 0.22 of an inch officially at KCI, south of the river and off towards Ottawa. Paola, there was about a ½ inch of rain, and a little bit more. Northwest wind at 7, and we may see a little bit of sun today. We may also have a few showers as the last part of the storm system moves by. Yesterday we had light to moderate rain, a few downpours during the afternoon. That little area developed last night and moved off. Now there's this little trail back here that's starting to move south. The storm system's kind of breaking apart, but as this little band moves south, it could help to generate a few more showers this afternoon. Let's take a look at our powercast at noon. A lot of clouds, maybe a sprinkle or two, but then between about noon and 5, these little downpours form. A few could be heavy, but if you get underneath one of them, it lasts maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then the sun will come back out. There may be some sun, some clouds, brief downpour, then back to sunshine. Temperatures will be in the 50s. The Royals will be able to get their games in, even if there is a little downpour. If there is a delay, it wouldn't last very long. And then after sunset, the showers diminish. They use the relative heat of the day to develop, and then at night, they fall apart. But there's another little weather system that may keep a few showers going late tonight and early tomorrow morning. And then as that moves by, it'll generate more downpours across central Missouri, but off to our east. And I think tomorrow afternoon is going to be really nice around here. So we get up to around 60 degrees, 60, 61. And then there's this strong cold front. 40s to near 50 behind it. Doesn't look that strong. There's much colder air just in Canada, and that will catch up to this front so that by Monday it'll be on our doorstep. 60s and 70s out ahead of it, 30s to the northwest, not that far away. So we may rise to around 65, and then this front will come through, and you'll know when it does. The wind will pick up, temperatures drop into the 40s, eventually the 30s, and it'll be dry with the front. However, a storm system will come in later Monday night behind it, and this is where it gets interesting. So at 10 o'clock on Monday night, still dry, 36 degrees. We had a system about a month ago that if it dropped below 36, we would get snow. If not, it would be rain. We thought it could snow, but the temperature never dropped below 36, and so it stayed rain. This one, the data is a little colder. So between 10 p.m. and 1 a.m., look at this area of snow develop, a few pockets of heavier snow, and where it is snowing, it drops to 31, 27 in Goodland. And Tuesday morning, we could be in the middle of some snow with temperatures around 30. If that's the case before sunrise, then it will stick to all surfaces. But it's also April, and it moves off, and by afternoon we get up into the 40s with a few rain showers, so it would melt back off. So there's a little window there Tuesday morning where things could get interesting. How much snow are we expecting? Well, there's 7 computer models we look at, and most of them are in the 2 to 3 inch range. There's one under an inch, but when you average all these out, 3 inches of snow is possible. It can happen in April, but it also melts quickly. Today, no snow, 56 degrees, some scattered mainly afternoon showers. Then tonight, 41, a few showers possible and cool. And then on the 7-day, might be a morning shower Sunday, leading to a nice afternoon. Monday will be nice for part of the day, and then windy and colder and possible snow by Monday night and Tuesday morning.
Jeff, thank you. New data shows that college enrollment sank 25% last year because of the pandemic. The survey from Junior Achievement and Citizens found that 1/4 of last year's high school graduates delayed their college plans largely because of not being able to afford the cost. The survey also found that a majority of young people say they have talked with their families about finances and the financial impacts of COVID. Pet stores say that more people are buying chickens during the pandemic. One feed store in Sacramento even had to put a limit on the number of chicks you could buy. Families are starting backyard coops to get eggs to feed their families. Workers aren't surprised at the trend, saying they're pretty easy to take care of.
As long as you provide food, water, and a place for them to nest in, they'll lay eggs for you. They eat, they lay eggs.
We have the time, so let's do it. And of course, there's some people that just focused on their gardens. So it just really depends, man.
Talk about a sign of the times. Well, the CDC urges first-time chicken owners to read the agency's health safety guidelines when handling chickens. The agency says it's been seeing more salmonella cases linked to backyard poultry. Now, if you live in a subdivision, you should also check with your homeowners association before buying any chickens.
Good morning. Welcome to the Overland Park Farmers Market. We'll begin here in just a few minutes. So stay tuned. We'll have some information on what you need to know before you come out here.
Hi, I'm Toby Tobin. Our lawns are growing great right now for some of us. For some of us, they're slowing down. I think we might have a little bit of a rain problem coming up. We're going to show you what you should be doing to have that great lawn. Hi, I'm Toby Tobin. This is a rain gauge. And learning how to use this correctly is the most important thing to having a great lawn. It's almost become cliche to ask, how much rain did you get yesterday? We've had a nice wet spring, but the warm temperatures are here, and paying attention to how much rain you get each week is very important. Our lawns need 1.5 to 2 inches of water per week right now, but it's much more important than just our lawns. Keeping the soil around your foundation properly watered, along with landscape and trees, is essential too. We can't control when nature brings us too much rain, but we need to know when we don't have enough water and act accordingly. The simple fact is, most of us water way too much. Our lawns can only handle about 1/2 inch of water at a time, and after that it just runs off. A good rain gauge will help you understand how much rain we've had, and also can be used when watering to make sure that you're evenly watering your lawn, landscape, and foundation. Keep your rain gauge in an area that's not covered by trees or other obstructions, and monitor it after rainfall. I keep a log since it's so easy to forget. If you don't get rain each week, you'll need to apply water accordingly. If you're running a sprinkler system, move your rain gauge around to each zone to make sure you're getting even coverage. Last year's drought moved the soil a lot, and your sprinkler heads have probably shifted. This is a good time to have a checkup to make sure your sprinkler heads are aligned properly and not watering the street more than your lawn. This is a great time to add a rain sensor so you're not one of those people that we see watering your lawn during a rainstorm. Oh. Also, don't forget, you want to be watering in the morning and not at night. Watering at night can lead to lawn disease, and you don't want that. Finally, if you haven't applied Earth-Right yet this year, get out and do it now. Earth-Right helps turn unhealthy clay soil into healthy soil and allows for deeper watering and root structure, which will help during the hot summer for a better and healthier lawn. Even if you don't have a rain gauge, there is a very easy way to tell when your lawn needs to be watered. When the lawns go from a nice green to a bluish purple color, or your footprints don't spring back quickly, it's time to get out the hose and water. That's it. I'm Toby Tobin. We'll see you next week.
Yeah, I know yesterday those rain gauges were filling up pretty nice yesterday.
Yeah, about 1/10 to 1/2 inch, and for the month of April, we're at 2.64. We should be at 1.73 as of this, so far on this date of the month. Average for the whole month is 3.73, so we're above average. Could we add to this total, but could it be melted snow? We will talk about that coming up.
You're watching 41 Action News.
10:30, good morning. Welcome back to 41 Action News. I'm Bryant Madrick. Jeff Pinner here with the first check of our forecast. If you're just waking up, how is the day going to look?
Not bad. It's not bad. It's going to be less rain than yesterday, but not no rain. Let's take a look right now outside our Board and Home Improvement Skyway Network over the K. The Royals game got canceled last night due to the rain. Today they play 2. They should get those in, even if there is a brief shower. Right now, just a low overcast, a little haze and fog, but no rain on weather track radar around our area. But when we look to the north, there is a little band of light rain showers near the Missouri-Iowa border, southeast Nebraska. It's moving south, and when it does this afternoon, it could help generate a few downpours, but the main rain is over. The storm system's kind of falling apart as it moves east. You know, large area of light to moderate rain, a few downpours, about 1/10 to 1/2 inch in the rain gauge. And there was snow in Nebraska and in northwest Kansas, and there were thunderstorms from Texas down to the Gulf Coast. So we were in the more tame part of the storm. And right now, not bad. Low 40s for temperatures. It's a few degrees below average. Northwest wind about 5 to 10 miles per hour. We are on our way up to 56 degrees here, and there could be an afternoon shower, maybe even a flash of light, maybe a thunderstorm or a brief downpour, but they wouldn't last more than 5 or 10 minutes. And there'll also be some sunshine. But boy, oh boy, the weather gets very interesting here on Monday night. Could we see snow of all the new data coming up?
Thank you, Jeff. One family says a Kansas bill could have prevented their father from going to prison for a murder he did not commit. You may have seen some of the story of Olin Pete Coons last night on Dateline. He was convicted and sentenced to life in prison for a murder he said he did not commit. Coons maintained his innocence, saying he was set up in a murder-suicide. He spent 12 years behind bars before being released this past November. But his freedom was brief. He died in February. A jailhouse informant played a role in that initial guilty verdict that sent Coons to prison. Now there's a bill in Kansas aimed at regulating those testimonies. But as 41 Action News reporter Ariel Rothfield shows us, the bill is now in limbo.
When Pete Coons went to prison for a murder he did not commit, a jailhouse informant was the damning witness.
One of the key pieces of evidence that was brought against my father were the words of a man named Rupert, a jailhouse witness.
This is Pete's son, who spoke to Kansas lawmakers in March, describing the witness who helped put his father away. A man with a history of committing crimes of dishonesty who made a deal with prosecutors for his testimony.
In our case, Rupert's words left us with a history of pain and suffering that can no longer be mended.
Referred to as jailhouse witnesses, their credibility is often questioned.
We know it's unreliable because jailhouse informants will often, for example, give forward only evidence that was provided in the discovery. So if they're housed in the same cell as defendant, they can read the same paperwork, the police reports, get that information, and then say, oh, well, the defendant told me when they confessed.
So far, 9 states have passed laws to regulate jailhouse witness testimony. Each state's laws address different parts of the legal process, but all of them aim to avoid situations like Pete's.
The question is just, how does it become a priority?
In Kansas, lawmakers were on track to pass similar measures. House Bill 2366 passed the House unanimously, but never made it out of the Senate Judiciary Committee. Lawmakers returned to Topeka in May, so we asked this committee if they would discuss this bill. In an email, Vice Chair State Senator Rick Wilborn said the committee does not plan to work any bills when they reconvene, but they may take a closer look at it next year.
Until this bill passes, until we have a tracking mechanism, we actually can't know how often jailhouse informants are used in Kansas.
For Pete's kids, seeing this through would be fulfilling his last wish.
After everything he had suffered, his deepest wishes were to see that this bill to be brought into law. So that others wouldn't have to suffer the way that we have suffered.
Reporting in Kansas City, Ariel Rothfield, 41 Action News.
So let's take a closer look at this bill. If passed into law, here's what it would require. Prosecutors will be required to track when they use jailhouse witnesses. Judges would have to hold a pretrial hearing to determine the reliability of that witness. Juries would get special instructions before considering that testimony. And if a jailhouse witness testified and got a break on their own sentence, the victims of their crime would be notified. Also in Kansas, it is now a felony to stalk a child under the age of 14. Governor Laura Kelly signed the bill into law Friday. It's a victory for a local family whose 10-year-old daughter was allegedly stalked by her teacher in Olathe. James Loganville admitted to taking hundreds of pictures and videos of the 10-year-old girl, which mostly focused on her backside. Loganville resigned and is now facing a charge of reckless stalking. The crime was originally a misdemeanor punishable by a maximum of 1 year behind bars. This new law will not impact Loganville's current charges. The family is planning on attending a ceremonial signing at the Capitol in the near future. Let's switch gears and take a look at coronavirus this morning. Worldwide, the coronavirus has now claimed the lives of more than 3 million people. That's according to Johns Hopkins University. That's equal to the entire populations of Philadelphia and Dallas combined. Some Kansas counties are rejecting new COVID-19 vaccine shipments or reducing their orders because of decreased demand for the drugs. Health officials worry mass vaccinations may be the only path back to normalcy. Nearly 4 months into the vaccination effort, providers are beginning to run out of vaccine seekers, even though only 35.9% of Kansas residents have been immunized. But Missouri is celebrating a much different milestone. 1 out of every 3 people in the state have received at least 1 dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. That is more than 2 million people. More than 22% of people in Missouri have completed vaccinations. Experts predicted half of all adults would have to at least have 1 dose of the vaccine by week's end. And checking in on stats from the CDC, the nation's close. More than 49% of everyone age 18 and older has the vaccine. While encouraging, Dr. Anthony Fauci says he's not encouraged by states and counties pulling back on public health measures and says it's not time to declare victory just yet.
If we can vaccinate 3 to 4 million people every day and keep the lid on things, pretty soon we're going to see a turnaround and we're going to see them come down, because we have some formidable things out there. We have these variants which clearly are spreading in a more efficient manner than the original virus. That's a big challenge there, and that's the reason why we say vaccinate, but don't just decide that we're victorious, because we're not victorious yet.
Well, if you want to get vaccinated, some good news today. There is a vaccine clinic at the Church of the Resurrection in Leawood. Now, this is by appointment only. Members of the Advent Health Shawnee Mission will be giving out first doses of the Pfizer vaccine. There is also a drive-through vaccination event at Concord Fortress of Hope Church. It's from 10 to 2. All Missouri residents 18 and older are eligible. This is for the Moderna vaccine. 41 Action News is committed to connecting you with vaccination events in our region. Each week, we will publish a COVID-19 vaccine planner. You'll find links to vaccine providers along with vaccine interest forms for your city or county. It's all on our website, kshb.com. Well, we, of course, know online signups could be a barrier for some in our community, especially seniors. So if you're in Jackson, Clay, Platte, Cass, or Ray County, and you need help getting signed up, I want you to take a look at your screen right now. Call this toll-free number. It's 1-800-593-7948. When you call that number, it will connect you with the Mid-America Regional Council's Aging Department. This service is available for anyone 60 and older, and they can help assist you if you need help registering for a vaccine. The number, one more time, it's 1-800-593-7948. Let's turn over to Kansas, where there's also some local resources available. Let's start in Johnson County. Call this number. It's 913-715-2819 for the county's COVID-19 hotline. And if you live in Wyandotte County, the number to call, 913-573-5311 for the Public Health Department. You could also call 311. All right, well, we're getting closer and closer to summer. At least it feels that way. At least when Jeff Pinner talks about snow, it feels like we're going back, but we are getting closer. And you know what that means. It means that the farmers markets are opening back up. 41 Action News reporter Jordan Betts live in Overland Park this morning with the reopening of the city's farmers market. So Jordan, a lot of differences in this last year during the pandemic. Tell us what's new.
Yeah, this time last year, we were talking about the OP Farmers Market being a drive-through style at the convention center. This year, though, we're talking about it being socially distanced. People can kind of walk around. They're out of their cars, can see their favorite vendors. And one of, I'd say, the fun vendor that everybody likes to come and see is Brian, the lettuce guy. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
You've got a good line going on here already.
It is. It's getting off to a good start today for sure.
Well, you know, last year this was, drive-through style. You were seeing people were seeing each other through their windows.
Right.
But now you're seeing your customers face to face again. What is it like to see?
It's great. It's great. You know, last year it was, I felt kind of weird handing people stuff through their window and, wearing a mask and telling people to put their money in the bag.
Yeah.
Don't look at my face.
Don't look at my face.
This is definitely a vast improvement. So, and we made it back here last year too. So, being able to actually get to talk to people again is a relief.
And as a small business owner, what does this do for you to be able to have markets back? I mean, last year was so hard on small businesses altogether.
It's huge. It really is a difference maker for us. Last year when things were shut down for a while, everybody had to sort of do what they could to make it through. Mm-hmm. And that's a common sentiment, I think. We shifted to doing door-to-door deliveries for a while. And we're just really thankful to be back at market because it is a difference maker for us.
Super. What's your top lettuce you sell? Gotta know before we leave.
I would say probably the green butter lettuce or the red butter lettuce. Those are usually the most popular.
Butter just sounds good to me in general, so might as well put some lettuce.
Butter and lettuce.
We'll make it a little out of this morning. Thank you so much, Ryan, for joining us this morning. The farmers market is open and it goes until 1 o'clock. We'll send it back to you, Bryant.
We are tracking a chance of snow, and it can snow in April. The last time there was measurable snow, 2018, 1.9 inches. It snowed 40 times since 1888 when records began. That's 30% of the time. 1983, over 7 inches of snow. So how much will we get this April? Well, there's one chance. Talk about that coming up.
Welcome back, everyone. Now to a positive story that's sure to inspire you. A brother and sister in Olathe are making sure all members of their neighborhood feel seen. 41 Action News reporter Gian Kim has a closer look at their heartwarming efforts.
First, we put the sketchbook in.
It all started with an idea.
I'm wondering, how in the world are you going to pull this off?
An idea many believe to be too big, but for 14-year-old Morgan Forshee, it was a challenge worth pursuing.
The whole point of this is to make people feel like they matter and that they're loved.
She fundraises by selling her crafted leather earrings.
I love to be artsy, and so I like to use that in other ways.
Then she uses the money to buy food, clothes, and personal care products for the homeless. She makes what she calls bags of blessings.
It makes me happy to see how positive some of them are with nothing, but it's also kind of sad to know that a lot of them don't have family or they don't know where their family is.
But in this family, it doesn't stop with Morgan. Her 11-year-old brother Kai is following closely behind his sister's footsteps.
Once I saw Morgan doing this, it just inspired me to help her, and I also wanted to help them even more, because if you help them like even more, then they might even like find a home.
Has it been fun spending a little bit more time with your older sister?
Kind of.
Father Ryan Forshee says supporting his kids have taught him and his wife a life lesson too.
These kids don't recognize those things that we take for granted as things other than the fact they're gifts. They truly see the positive in the people that they interact with.
The family has already delivered 250 bags of blessings to those in need, but they don't plan on stopping anytime soon.
As you're handing people socks, thinking that we put those on our feet every day and it's not a big deal, but the folks would literally weep over the fact that they're receiving socks.
The three say it's important for all of us to stand in the gaps of our community and pay it forward.
It's made me very happy just to see like all the progress that we can make so quickly and just see their reactions and how other people have helped out.
Now, if you'd like to help out with Kai and Morgan's ongoing project, you can find more information on kshb.com. In Olathe, Jian Kim, 41 Action News.